So I got this great DM on Instagram yesterday. If you're not following me on Instagram, it's On-Site Trav. I'd love to interact with you there, interact in the comments as well. I try to get back to everything. But he asked, dude, with this bridge between crypto and the fiat system, couldn't they just regulate the on-ramps and off-ramps to crypto? To which I say, absolutely, I totally see that happening. However, the point being is to utilize the currency, to actually put the currency in circulation. All money is just a unit of account. It's this economic tool that we've created. It's actually like a artificial economic tool. Silver and gold historically has worked the best because it can't be manipulated by elites. Crypto will do. It's fast. It bridges connect. We can go right here through the internet. I could list my crypto address and you could list your crypto address and we could interact and exchange. But really all it is a unit of account. So this question was, well, something that's absolutely dangerous to the system, something like Monero, where it's fully private, it's non-traceable, it's literally probably the best way to reduce or get rid of the government's ability to tax people's income, which I think is pretty morally corrupt. I mean, I think it's a terrible idea. We didn't have income tax in this country until 1913. That's something to keep in mind. We had no income tax until 1913. We also didn't have a Federal Reserve until 1913. And also when the income tax started, it was like just going to be just a few people, and it was like no more than a few percent. Now, the taxes are insane. The government has grown way too big for its britches. And I think that the solution to that, and I think that we're going to see in our lifetime, is I think we're going to see the unwinding of the nation state because of private currencies. So when I look at things like crypto, I look at things like Bitcoin, or I look at any of that, I'm looking at the private ones. The long-term solution here is private currencies that can't be tracked and can't be stopped. Even if you're buying groceries at the grocery store, it doesn't matter what you're buying. The fact is that you should have privacy in your transactions. And so this question is like, well, won't they just mandate or, dictate rather the on-ramps and off-ramps to crypto? And I say yes, if your end goal is to be trading the price of crypto and then going right back into the fiat system. But if you're going back into the fiat blood dollar, you're kind of part of the problem. Like you're helping incentivize and keep this crap alive. I mean, the US dollar, to our knowledge, we think there's 27 trillion of them in circulation. We think 20 to 40% of them have been created in the last 18 to 24 months. And the CPI this past quarter is 6%. So the way the government measures inflation, they are saying it's 6%. The way that you normally measure inflations and shadow stats is a great place to go. Inflation's more like over 15% on the stuff that you and I buy every day for things that we need. So my solution there, or how I see this going long term, is I believe that we've got to put crypto into circulation. And where we currently sit is we're in that first bubble of the .com phase, to where the internet's the future, buy anything internet, overpay for everything. However, most people don't own any crypto. They just own a derivative of crypto. Example of this would be Robinhood and Dogecoin. I like Dogecoin. I think I use it. I use Dogecoin. I sent Dogecoin 11 or 12 times last month. So I use it. But people have price exposure to Dogecoin, but they don't own any Dogecoin, meaning you're on Robinhood, you buy Doge, which means you own a derivative. So it's basically a representation of Dogecoin, but you don't own any Doge. What you own is fiat dollars with price exposure to the Dogecoin price. You don't own any Doge. If you can't blast me Doge to my address and I can't blast you Doge to your address, and I'll list my Doge address here, then we can't do transactions. But if you can copy and paste and you can send 10 or 12 Doge and I can do the same thing. Well, now that starts to change the game. At that point, you can then look up things like Doge, Litecoin, and Bitcoin on the blockchain. So you can actually look these things up And you can see how many things are coming and going from, say, my wallet. I'll list a wallet and we can look it up on the blockchain and see what's coming and going. And so, one, it's a really cool way to have full accountability and transparency. So if the government was using this type of money, well, that would be pretty interesting. Also, if we start using this type of money, then they will have to offer goods and services that are within the realm of what it costs. The government does things at a cost that makes no sense. So they'll have to compete with other governments, other state governments, other municipalities, whatever that may look like in the future. I believe the nation state is coming to an inevitable end because it's just too big to maintain in a world that these people are all different types and cultures. It's not a culture that's easy to keep together like it was in the 50s or it was in the 1800s, or like now everything's just too diverse, which is great. It's just that the nation state has served its purpose. However, between now and the death of the nation state, which is a speculation, they could get way more draconian than I could ever imagine. So I'm not saying that they're going anywhere. They do have the guns, and they may show up to your house and stick you with a needle and demand your currency from you and tell you to pay taxes and be a good little slave. I just think that period of history is coming to a wrap up. And I think that what's going to occur is people are going to move to private currencies, things like Pirate Chain, things like Monero, things like Dash, things like Zcash, that you can block your transaction, you can shield your transaction rather, or Digibyte. Digibyte has a shielded transaction, but I believe that that's going to be the way to go, and we're not going to use the banking system. We don't need to use the banking system. The idea that you give me a check, I deposit in my bank, that bank calls up your bank, they move the funds from one bank to the other bank. I know it's all digital on the computer, but you know what I mean. And then I can go spend it on a debit card with a merchant, and that's going to cost the merchant 2 or 3%, and it goes through another bank, then hits his account. It's pretty inefficient. Now, if I can send it from my phone to your phone, and you can send it from your phone to his phone, that's the solution. That's a really, really good solution. Does it need to have underlying value underneath it? Maybe. Money is just a unit of account, but can it be backed up with something like a Volt chain, where like those pieces of crypto coin are actually backed up by a physical metal somewhere that can't be manipulated? Maybe. You know, I know metals are manipulated at this point in time. They have to be. I mean, think about a true gold price of 15,000, right? People be flipping out. You know, so as long as, you know, it seems like it's not going anywhere, everything's fine. You guys see inflation, I see inflation. Long term, I think it's deflation. But my point there being is that I don't believe, I do think at some point in time, they are going to disconnect the bridge between the fiat system and the crypto world. But those that are in the crypto world will then just spend their crypto into circulation. This is why it's important not to have price exposure in a derivative on something like Robinhood. It's important to actually have possession of that crypto that you're transacting with, because then you can put it into circulation. And once you put it into circulation, it can work its way up and down the supply chains. And we as a people, like as a global people, can begin to make this shift away from government fiat currencies and thus take away that government control. I'm not saying that governments are going to disappear. I'm just saying that they're going to have to renegotiate with we the people on new terms, because they have way extended their stay and have way violated their powers. Governments were never set up to do what they're doing now. The Constitution was set up to be a republic, not a democracy. We're a democracy, and that's mob rule. And I believe that we need to move back to a republic, or more of an anarchy-like state where sovereign individuals are responsible for their own person and their own being, and we interact with each other in a free society. I think that the big solution, or what we're going to see over the next 10 years, and where my bets are going, are things like Monero, Pirate Chain, shielded transaction type of currencies, things that I have possession of that I can put into circulation to buy things with. I don't care what the price is in dollars. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, but it's anonymous, but it's public, has a use case, could be great to mortgage against. I mean, I could see a world where the governments will accept Bitcoin happily, but you got to transact in their Fed coin so that they can track you and know what you're doing. But sure, you can take some Fed coin off the table and put it into Bitcoin to save it for a long term. What I mean by this is, let's say that you have a piece of real estate and you go ahead and sell this piece of real estate, and now you've got this cash. Well, you can keep it in something like a Bitcoin and then loan against it. And I could see a world where the government systems could work together with that, allowing you to come in and out of it. And the reason I say Bitcoin is because it's fully public, it's fully transparent. It'd be great if they used Bitcoin so we could see their transactions, but it's not so great for us if they can see our transactions. And so I think the long-term solution moving forward is very likely going to be these private currencies, because as we move forward and freedom starts to really come under the chopping block, and I mean, governments get nasty, especially right up towards the end, right before they fail. They get disgustingly nasty. And so I believe that they're going to do that, and that the solution is going to be private currencies. And if you're going to trade for goods and services that really matter, things that you really, really need, with people who are aware of what's going on, they're going to give an unequal weighting to those that are private, and a less of a weighting, or they'll have less value for those that are fully public and taxable by all the different government standards. So that's my take on it. But I believe, and I'm not looking at crypto as a thing to flip in and out for fiat currency. I'm looking at crypto as something that I have possession of, and that at some point in time I will trade for an asset that produces some sort of cash flow. And I believe that the price appreciation, as far as, oh, I want my wealth to grow while I wait for this to occur, is in the private cryptos. Yes, Bitcoin will probably 10x or 20x from here. I have no doubt about that long term. However, the private currencies are what's going to usher in an actual revolution. And I do believe that the cycles are stacked, where we're about to see a technology cycle, a long-term debt cycle, and a revolutionary cycle, along with a political cycle, all lap together into one event, which we will probably see between now and 2035. I think that all of these things are just like 3 or 4 waves coming down the beach. Like, this is going to be a pretty gnarly set. And I think that at the end of this, when that water recesses out, I think that we're going to be in a more free world. But I think that the way that we're going to get to a more free world is private currencies by the people, for the people, that can be mined and transacted on normal computers, phones, laptops, iPads, normal stuff. No Bitcoin mining farms that have power plants next to them. I don't think that that's the long-term solution. I think that the long-term solution is that everybody's running a node, everybody has their own wallet on their own device, and they're doing the transactions and getting transaction fees, and then they're also taking their currency and putting it into circulation for real goods and services in the real world. Thanks for watching.